Deep dive, day number 6. So today we layered on what we've learned in the past 5 days, and it actually went back a little bit. So if we're talking about objective reality and subjective reality, and our offer is closer to the objective reality, somewhere between the two of those is our story. And the story plays a part in our lives. We have character development, all of the things that happen to us and how we end up growing. That's all part of our story. And sometimes the hero's journey, the things that we're being called to do is an invitation. And it doesn't always have to be something like jumping off a building without a parachute and being brave and being ridiculously courageous, although it can be. Sometimes it's about having compassion and love and listening and tuning in and having those more sensitive things. If, you know, for the creative types, it's being brave enough to create, or just being more of ourselves and really taking that risk and just leaning in to what we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to be doing. And the gist of what we're talking about today is that if there's things that coming up, like the challenges and the shit that kind of gets flung at us, that just keeps showing up, is sometimes the universe or the simulator trying to shake things up a bit. So if you're pretending that your life is a movie and pretend you're watching the most boring movie ever, kind of like Groundhog Day, but nothing exciting happens, it's not a really fun movie to watch. It's not something that anybody would want to really be engaged in. And in order to shake things up, then this shit starts to hit the fan. Like your car breaks down, or you're deeper in debt, or you can't pay your bills, or your boyfriend dumps you, or whatever that happens to be. So we have a choice. We can choose what we want to do, and just even looking through it as the lens of, if my life has become that and I'm kind of in my own version of Groundhog Day and I'm not really enjoying it and it feels boring as fuck and I know I need to change, what is it that I want this character to do? What is it that, you know, I want for my character development, and what cool and exciting and fun thing could I make happen instead of just waiting for things to happen to me? There's a few questions, and I ended up writing 3 pages of notes, so I'll just read some of the questions that you can ask yourself that can start you to help problem solve and kind of get yourself unstuck and start to think about the character development. What is happening in real life that is trying to move the story along? So what are some of the crappy things that the universe or the simulator are throwing at you that you're supposed to be dealing with? What would the next scene be, and what is the inner journey of that character development? The whole part of this is like choose your own adventure. So the idea came up of we don't have free will, and that all of this is just happening and it's just fate, and it'll unfold how it is supposed to. And I don't personally believe that, and Steve doesn't either. So it's kind of like if you turn and take the, you know, if you're at a fork in the road and you take the left side and it ends up at, you know, the end of the journey, or you take the right side, sometimes the end is the same. It's just the journey that you took to get there was a little bit different. So the same thing with choose your own adventure. It's still going to be super fun and really cool experience, but how you get there is still your choice, and the things that you can do along the way are still up to you. Some of the other things that you can ask yourself: what's your calling, and what are you resisting? What would you like to say to your past self, your younger self? What are some of the things that you've learned along the way, or what would your younger self hope you to turn into, hope for you to experience if you were a character in your own movie? Knowing that we're talked about, some of us are destined to be like on stage, and whatever that happens to be for us, our stages are different in life, whether it's talking in front of a camera just like this, or just owning our own stuff, right? What does that look like? And that sometimes the perception, and even when I talk about shooting videos, some of my friends are like, what, you shoot videos? I'm like, well, yeah, like what's the worst that can happen is I fuck it up and whatever, it's not a big deal. And they're like, I'm so nervous, I have anxiety, like, you know, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. You're not performing, you're just sharing. And that's the difference. Is I think sometimes people put all of this extra emphasis on the fact that it has to look and feel a certain way. Same with the rest of our lives, right? If we set these huge goals for ourselves, or if we're looking at what our character development should be, that it has to be a certain way and we can't mess it up or have any kind of mistake. And that's not real, and that's not true. being heartfelt and being real and just becoming our best selves is what it's about. And just being sharing and caring and compassionate with ourselves and others while we do it. Like, I think that's what the main idea is. Being fake and trying to make it look, you know, Instagram perfect is not real for me, and I certainly am not going to do that. And Steve talked about this over and over, as being shamelessly yourself, like just owning all of it. And when we are truly in our element of loving ourselves and just, yes, this is it, I finally found it. Sometimes journaling to get there, sometimes shooting a video like this, and then we feel that intensity, and it clicks. And you know when you've got that essence of what you're supposed to be doing and who you're supposed to be becoming, it just starts to take over. And for me, it feels like something's being plugged into me and I'm just kind of being pulled along. That feeling becomes so intense, and then there's a little bit of excitement, a little bit of fear and anxiety, definitely, but it's still excitement. And a lot of people freak out about that, and I watch it in some of my students, that it's almost like that fear of it's going too well, and something's gonna, you know, something's gonna happen and something's gonna get messed up. It's like, just enjoy it and become whatever is supposed to be. And if you mess it up, then you know not to make that, you know, mistake or that choice again. And you never know, like sometimes some of the best things will come of it, and you end up really truly becoming the best version of yourself. Like, don't worry about it. Some of the things that Steve talked about when it comes to our calling, it can look and feel a couple of different ways. So for some people, it's that call of valor, and that can be being courageous and fearless and just doing that thing that scares you the most and pushing through it. So, you know, that's the jumping off the building without a parachute kind of thing. Sometimes we just need to take that leap of faith for ourselves in order to become our best selves. But for some of us, it's not that at all. And I found this is where I started from, and part of what I'm doing this challenge for is that honor and integrity, and just being completely transparent and honest and authentic and sharing our truth. And that includes the bad stuff too, the things that we're ashamed of and the things that we've made mistakes with, and just coming clean about everything. And the amazing power that comes from that when we're just honest, and somebody else says, oh my God, I've done that too, or I have shame too, and if you can do it, I can do it. So sometimes it's a little bit beyond that, where it becomes more about caring and compassion and empathy and love and listening to other people and really becoming a source of support for someone. So I'm not quite there in my own personal journey, but I know for some people that is huge, and taking not necessarily a step out of the spotlight for themselves, but just kind of stepping into that loving space and really owning that. For artists and the healers and the light workers he was referring to, becoming our real selves and really owning our uniqueness and being in that space of, I know I'm super awesome, I know that I'm a weirdo, and I know that, you know, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay, but I love myself no matter what. So sometimes just being real and being completely ourselves, and just letting go of all of that expectation and all of that crap that goes with it, and just, you know, really living in that moment. Sometimes that's a real struggle for people. I know that for myself, shooting videos like this is one of the best ways for me to see my own progress and my own growth, but I can also get really clear on what it is that my message is. So sometimes I end up shooting the videos over and over again because it's just not clicking, it's not feeling right, and then most often than not, I just take it in one take and I just kind of ramble on, and poof, there's the idea, and that's the gist of it. And the nice thing is I can go back and look at my expression and the tone of my voice, and if there's a smile on my face while I'm doing it, and did I actually get something out of it. Sometimes if we're just writing, there's too much of a filter, and if you're not writing or sharing that at all, then it's just staying inside of you, and you can't express that, and you can't start to move forward and work through that. So definitely encourage people to journal and write it all out, and then read it back to yourself and see are you on the same page? Like, are you getting to the meat and the essence of who your character really wants to be and should be in your life, and the things that are just calling for you? I love the video aspect of it, because if you're looking to become, you know, someone that's going to be speaking on stage or getting to that point, it's a great practice run, and you get to play around with that, and then keeping all of that stuff. Like me doing this 30-day deep dive, I can go back after everything's done and watch the progression, and sometimes it's a cringe moment, like, oh my god, I can't believe I looked like that, or I sounded like that, or I said that. And then sometimes it's like, damn, I am so proud of myself for doing that. So I personally prefer video. If video just freaks you out, definitely start journaling, but record it somehow. And if there's someone that you can share it with, definitely do that. You know you've hit it when you really get that feeling. And it's hard to explain, but you just know when it's right. When the emotion starts to come, and when you really sink into it, and it's like, oh my god, I think I tapped into it, you know it. Keep going until you get it. And really and truly, what does your character in your movie, just who are you supposed to be, and what if the too big of ideas, like it's way too out there and that's just too much, what's the next little step, like just to get you unstuck? What's that little thing that character needs in order to progress and kind of get out of the funk? Maybe that'll help you. Look forward to seeing what you guys have to say, and I'm also looking forward to tomorrow. Maybe something new will happen, since we've kind of closed the gap on the objective and the subjective. And yeah, can't wait till tomorrow. I'm doing my this is like take number 6, because I've been interrupted a few times. Oh my okay. Choking on my own spit.